Recent headlines blared babies born during COVID have lower IQs. Could this be true?
Children have been severely affected during the COVID-19 pandemic, missing out on sports, school, and social interactions with their friends. But do the babies who were born during the pandemic have lower IQs? Well, a recent study says yes. But what could this disturbing news mean for our future generation?
Joining us now via Zoom to help break this all down is Chief of Pediatric Infectious Diseases at UPMC Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, an A-plus spot. Welcome, Dr. John Williams.
Good to be with you.
Nice to have you back. So you've got to shed some light on this, John. Is it really true that babies born during the pandemic are showing lower IQs?
Well, there's no question that the pandemic has had a lot of effect on children's social, emotional, and intellectual development because kids have not been able to go to school, daycare, participate in a lot of normal social activities. However, I think it's premature to conclude that infants and toddlers are already losing IQ points.
Well, as an OBGYN, I've seen new mothers who have been terrified of the effects that COVID-19 has on their children's social skills. How do we even measure their intelligence at the infant level?
Well, it's difficult to do. There are structured instruments that are a little bit like playing games that are widely used to evaluate the verbal and nonverbal intelligence scores of infants and toddlers. And this group is an experienced group, and this study was done in part of a large federally funded study. But, you know, it's really hard to do those evaluations if the child is having a grumpy day that could affect it. And they need to be done repeatedly over a prolonged period of time to really get a sense of that child's development.
And Dr. Williams, you know, we're just running this headline because we found it, and we found it disturbing. So we went to you as the source. So what's the bottom line? And I hope you're saying in your last statement that we don't need to freak out here.
I think we don't need to freak out. This is a not yet peer-reviewed study. It had a very small number of children born right during the pandemic, 39, and the scores for those children really overlap with the scores in other years. So while we should all, as parents and pediatricians, have concerns about child development during the pandemic, and while kids should be going back to school masked this year, there's no reason to freak out and think that infants and toddlers have already lost a lot of IQ points. That is,
you know, so important, Dr. Williams. Research is so important, papers, studies, so important, but unless you analyze them properly, and that's what we were trained to do as medical students and as residents for that matter, you have to look at how the study was conducted, the number of people that were involved in it, what type of study, and until you look at all of those things closely, you can't glean results and assumptions just based on that alone. They need to be interpreted properly. And unfortunately, this happens all the time, that these things end up out there on the internet, and lay people are reading it and they take it at face value. And it scares a lot of people, and it probably creates a lot of anxiousness that is unnecessary.
Yeah, because a lot of people just assume that all research studies are kind of created equal. But I do have one final question for you. What are some simple things that parents can do at home with their toddlers to help keep them on track during the COVID pandemic, since they're not having as much interaction with the outside world?
Well, the biggest thing for children's development is interaction, especially with their parents or other adults and with other children. So if parents turn off the TV and engage with their kids, read them books, play with them with toys, and give them that human interaction, that goes a long way towards encouraging child development.
Dr. John Williams, thank you so much for your insight and expertise and setting the record straight.
Pleasure to be with you.